Hey everybody, Joy here. This is going to be the last, finally, for you, video of me making the perfect library quilt right here. This is Thursday, October 6-ish, and I have been uploading dozens and dozens and dozens of clips to show you how I made this by your request, and it turns out that I managed to delete a video somewhere. So I am going to start this lesson, if you want to call it a lesson, with the hardest part of embroidery, which is the eyeballs. The eyeballs and the whiskers and the nose. I did that for you, but like I said, I evidently deleted it because I cannot find it. But I wanted to show you this real quick. I kept talking about dinosaurs, and I'm sure if you don't follow me and you've just clicked on this to learn about embroidery, you don't realize that I was making this as a birthday surprise for my husband. And I'm upstairs, he's downstairs. Well, he often comes to the bottom of the stairs to talk to me or ask me something, and he can hear me. And he knew that Pumpkin Pants, our little great-grandson, who's going to be 5 years old? Oh my heavens. On November 14th, he asked me, Grandma, Joy, will you make me a dinosaur shirt? So I kept pretending like I was up here doing the dinosaur. So I wanted to show you, I really am doing them now. I wasn't making that up. This is dinosaur number 1. I had to, talking about embroidery, I could not hoop this thing without taking the whole side seam out. I did not make the shirts. I bought the shirts from Amazon. But I had to rip out this whole side seam in order to get this hooped to put this dinosaur on here. And he said he wanted dinosaurs with teeth. And you can see my markings are still on here. I'll have to wash it to get those out. But this is a dinosaur with teeth. I hope he likes it. So I'm going to move my camera and my tripod in there to my sewing machine. And I'm going to set up some fake eyeballs and a fake kitty cat face or whatever to show you how to do little tiny circles and little triangles and things, okay? So I'll see you in the sewing room. I'm going to show you 2 things that I'm going to use. I have size large in these gloves right here, and I can't stand tags, so I'm going to cut those off. You have seen me using these gloves in the other videos, I'm sure. These are my favorite because they allow your fingers to stick out. So they are called Reggie's, R-E-G-I'(S) grip. They are in my Amazon store. My Amazon store is always listed in the description box. Now these are tricky. When you put them on, you have to be sure these little sticky dots are on the bottom of your hand. First I put them on, they were on the top of my hand. And I thought, what is wrong with this? Something doesn't look right. I think you'll see me do that in one of the videos. See here? So now the sticky parts is going to help you hold your fabric as you applique and as you sew. The dots go on the bottom, and see how much of your hand is still free? I love that about these. They're expensive. I don't remember how much, $15 or something, but you only have to buy them once. And they are wonderful to have if you're going to do a lot of embroidery. And I do a lot of embroidery because that's my thing, okay? I'm not affiliated with anybody, y'all. I'm only affiliated with me. So if you buy them, you're just helping Amazon. Oh, I do have an Amazon store, but I swear, if I've made $15 in all the months I've had it, I would be surprised. So don't worry about me getting too rich from Amazon, okay? So I want to show you these. Very nice to have. And you can see things stick to them. Next, your machine should have come with some kind of an embroidery foot. The embroidery foot bounces up and down. See? Bounces up and down. I'm sure if you have an embroidery machine, you know that. I'm using a regular everyday sewing machine. I'm using my Bernina Virtuosa 155. You don't have to have an embroidery machine at all to do embroidery when you're going to do it yourself, like I did around these kitty cats. And like I'm getting ready to show you around their face, okay? So look in your box, look in your tools. If you don't have one, call a company you got it from and say, hey, Is there an embroidery foot for this machine? Okay, this is clear on the bottom. Very nice. So I'm going to put this on my Virtuosa 155. I'm going to get a sample to sew for you, and I'll be back. Always do a practice. If you're new to embroidery, do practice, 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 just like when you're learning to do quilting designs on top of a quilt. It will save you so much frustration. Take a scrap of fabric. I cut a piece of tearaway stabilizer, the same size as my scrap. I sprayed some temporary glue on it, stuck it to the back. Then you can see I took some zigzag stitches because this stuff never stays. And this is just a test, and it doesn't matter how ugly it is. Then I drew some shapes here on this side so I can show you how to do corners. And I can show you how to do a big circle, and I can show you how to do little tiny circles. So make yourself a practice piece. It's not perfect, you can see. Smooth it out when you get to the part you're at, because, you know, it never wants to stay completely, totally flat. Nature of the beast. Okay, is my fabric pre-washed? No. I always pre-wash fabric if I'm going to wear it. If I'm going to make a quilt out of it or an applique out of it, it does not get washed. Could it be? Sure, I have a whole bunch from when I first started out that's washed. So when I do applique quilts, it's not something we throw in the wash a lot. If it's something you're going to make for a child or a baby, pre-wash your fabric. And that way, you know, the mama will have to wash the quilts and they won't shrink. And even if they do shrink, it just makes them kind of even quiltier looking. All right, so here's my sample. Drawn some shapes on it. I'm actually going to do a practice on another piece just to make sure my sewing machine's sewing right. I'm using isocord thread on the top. I've got Aurifil in the bobbin because that's what was already here, and I'm too lazy to go change it. But I always do my applique with isocord thread. I do my quilting with isocord thread. It is my favorite, favorite, favorite. It doesn't shrink, it doesn't fade. You use whatever you want to use. You can use Coats and Clark if you want to, that you make clothes with. You don't have to go buy some special thread. Now everything sticks to these gloves. All right, let me show you what I'm doing here. And we're just going to practice. When you do little tiny circles or little tiny triangles or little tiny leaves, you can even do it with bigger stuff if you want to, but especially for tiny, I put my feed dogs down. Your machine has a way to put your feed dogs down. That means the needle can go up and down forever here. It's going to go up and down and nothing's going to move. Watch it go up and down. I have it on zigzag and it's not moving. The reason it's not moving is I'm the feed dogs. I'm the feed hands, okay? So if I want this to move, I'm going to move it. See? So I've already shown you the little foot. Look at that. Is that awesome or what? I've got my little gloves on that are holding it very firm. You can see how I have gone around that circle with a little zigzag stitch. Look at that. I have gone around it. There's not even a circle there. So let's do it with a straight stitch. Use a straight stitch. It doesn't matter what your stitch length is because your feed dogs are down. So there's no stitch length. The stitch length is your hands, okay? So now we're on a straight stitch. Let's see if we can do a circle. Always go up and down until you lock your stitch. Figure out if you want to go to the left. See that? Is that wonderful? Or do you want to go to the right? For me, it's the same both ways, but for you it may not be. Isn't that wonderful? Look at how tiny the little thing in there is. Look at that, how itty bitty teeny weeny I went around that. This is how I do the eyeballs. So let's get my other sheet out now that I know my sewing machine, my thread, and everything's going to work right. Throw that away. So it doesn't matter what your stitch length is. You've got your feed dogs down. Now that's just for the tiny stuff. For the big stuff, you'll want your feed dogs up, and we'll do that in a minute. But we're going to pretend like this is the kitty cat's eyeballs. The black part and the white part. I'm going to do this with the feed dogs up, I'm going to do this with the feed dogs down. Okay? Like I just showed you. I'm going to do it with a straight stitch. So I'm going to start out on the edge of the circle, and I'm going to tie down just 1, 2 up and down, and I'm going to make it so my needle stays up. I'm going to make it so my needle stays up because I don't want to pull on it and break it. Okay? I hope you can see through my hands. I'm not sure. I'll try to turn them this way. Of course, you know, it's the easiest for me to do my hands like this. I think you can still see it. All right, we're going to go to the right. You see that little circle? Look at that. Look at that. I am exactly on that little circle line. It's not hard. Here's the back of it. There's where I tied my knot. Let's cut off this thread. That's how I do the black pupils. Are they going to ravel? Maybe, maybe not. If they do, they're not going to ravel very far. This is with a straight stitch. Now, if your bobbin thread is coming up, and it is, you tighten your bobbin, and that will quit happening. You want me to show you? Let me just show you. Don't be afraid of your bobbin case. I was terrified of it for years. Get your little screwdriver that came with your machine. Stick it in the little screw. Oh wait, this is the Phillips head. You don't want the Phillips head. I have a whole bunch of screwdrivers. Here, the yellow one is what came with my Berninas. So I know it'll fit. So, pardon my glove covering this up. You see the little screw? I'm putting the screwdriver in and I'm going to turn it 1/4 turn to the right. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Now we'll see if this thread quits coming up. Alright, so we've got it with the straight stitch. I'm going to do that other little circle with the zigzag stitch, okay? Still, the feed dogs are down. I'm putting it on zigzag, and I'm putting it on a very tiny one, a number 1. And we're going to go around this circle with that now. Yeah, that is tiny. I'm even going to put it up 1 more notch. That is tiny. Now this is the same exact little tiny circle with a zigzag, and I'm going to go the other way. You have to be able to see is the main thing. See there? Now look at that. Look. Zigzag would work great. Straight stitch would work great. The zigzag probably would keep it from raveling better. Okay? Now, you know, you're not going to be sewing on just a plain white piece of fabric. You're going to be sewing on a black dot and a little white circle. So, practice, practice, practice. It's fun to practice. I love to practice. I practiced for, just so ever. All right, so while we have the feed dogs down, I'm going to do one of the little ovals with the zigzag, then, and the feed dogs down. Then I'm going to do one of the little ovals with the feed dogs up in a different foot. Okay, remember, we have our embroidery foot. This is our clear. What's an embroidery foot do? It goes up and down on a spring. Okay, so we are going to do this circle right here with that little zigzag. Wonderful. Alrighty, here we go. You have to be able to see. Of course, I can see this real good, but on the actual quilt top, sometimes you can't see real good. And there it is. Look at that, y'all. Isn't that fun? It's fun. It's just fun. All right, so now I'm going to take this foot off. This foot's coming off. We're going to put the feed dogs back up. And that's how I did the main part of the cats, which you're going to see. You're going to see it in this video. But I'm having to remake this part, so I'm putting this at the beginning. For those of you who know how to do the main part, but you don't know how to do the fine part. And let me tell you, all the threads stick to these gloves. What foot are we going to use? What needle am I using? You might want to use a Microtech 7511 needle when you do yours, but you can use a universal 8012. You need a woven. You are not sewing through knit. You're sewing through woven. Can you embroider on a woven? Yes, 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 yes. And then you would use a knit needle. All right, so let's get our embroidery foot. Let's get our open toe, number 20. All right, we're going to do this big circle now. Now, the thing about circles, if you're not doing it like I just did it, you don't have, the way I just did it, you don't have to turn. You don't have to keep turning and turning and turning. The way I'm going to do it now, you have to keep turning and turning and turning, okay? That's a difference. But you don't want to do the way I just did it for the entire cat because the stitches show. And at least, I want a really pretty satin stitch. Now, if you don't want a satin stitch and you don't mind a straight stitch or that, hey, do the whole cat that way. Perfectly welcome to. Do whatever you want, it's your cat. All right, so we're going to do this big circle. I am going to choose a zigzag. I'm going to put it on a 2.5. Hopefully that will work going around. That's a pretty small circle. I might put it on a 2. Now, stitch length. Write this down. When you're doing a satin stitch, you need your stitch length to be very, very short. So I put mine all the way down to the bottom, and then I come up about 3. Now, practice, practice, practice. Come over here, get your scrap. Start sewing. Now I have the feed dogs up, so this is going to move now. So, make your stitch wider. Make your stitch even wider. Put your stitch length higher up. See if it sews so you like it. Put your stitch length down. See if it sews like you like it. Make it even wider. There you go. Mine will go all the way up to 5 here. See? And you can see why you want your open toe foot. This one does not cut. This machine does not cut. It's an antique. Okay? Practice that. Practice that. See how you want your satin stitch to look. You can see how wide it looks, how skinny it looks. I did this for years. For a long, 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 long time. I would always practice before I would start sewing. So let's come back to this big circle here. I'm going to put that on 3. I'm going to put the width of the zigzag on 3. The stitch length is very, very close to nothing. It's about 3 up from nothing. But you can decide that when you're doing this. Where's the practice? You can decide that when you're doing this practice. All right, let's do this big circle here. I always go back to straight stitch, and I straight stitch 1 or 2 stitches. I always put needle down for satin stitching. For satin stitching, I always put the needle down. Very, 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 very important. I did not do it when the needle was flying around here because I was afraid it would go down and I would still be moving and it would break the needle. But for this, you're going to be turning to the left, turning to the right, turning to the left, turning to the right. And you need the needle to stay put while you're turning. And let's go around this. Now I want to show you. You have to turn. You have to turn to go around this circle. If you don't, you're going to come clear out here. The needle is down. You have to determine when you're going around the circle. Do you want your needle to go down on this side or do you want your needle to go down on that side? What side do you want the needle to go down on? If my needle is here and I turn, my stitch is going to come out this way. And there's going to be a gap here from where I was and where I went. If I leave my needle down here and I turn, I'm going to go this way and everything will stay covered up, okay? You'll figure that out. Do your practice, do your practice. You'll figure out exactly how to do it, okay? And when it's a tight circle like this, all right, needle down. when it starts to go too far outside your design, your applique, you have to turn. You have to turn. See there? Now, if I was doing a curve going this way, I would have to put my needle down the other direction so it would come back in this way. You'll see. You'll see. Let's turn, Laverne. Out. See why you want your needle down? This would be the crookedest line on the planet if your needle wasn't down. Yeah. And this could actually be a little closer together stitch. Let's put it down a little closer together. Boy, that's just no space at all. And you'll see that that covers like a solid line. Now, if you're doing this just to cover a raw edge, and you're going to go quilt it later, and you just want that raw edge to stay down, hey, use a real loose zigzag. And use invisible thread, that's what I do. See there? Do you see here how this is super tight and close together, and this here has some spaces in between it because it was looser. This practically has no stitch length at all. It's like 1 up from 0. Turn. Turn. See, you have to turn a lot because it is a little circle. How do you know when you're going to turn? Because your needle is going to land too far outside your circle. And you want it to land just exactly outside your piece of embroidery fabric. Turn. And turn. Now, what I do when I get all the way around is I go back to straight stitch, and I move it, and I do a couple straight stitches out here on the edge. Okay? See there? Let me show you up close, close, close. You can see where I started, and there's a little bit of space in the zigzag. You can see where I changed it to closer together, and you can see the back. Do you see on the back how the pink is coming around and the bobbin thread, the white part, is in the center? This makes it possible for you to use a different color thread on the bottom. And you don't want to constantly change your bobbin thread because you're constantly changing your top thread, but you can if you can't work it out so it sews like this. You can see here there's no white thread in that stitch at all. All right, let me show you how you know if you need to turn the foot the other way. I didn't draw that on here yet. Make an S for your practice. Make a S, a wavy line like a S, okay? So you have an in curve and an out curve. Make an in curve and an out curve like that. Then I can show you when you have to change what way your needle goes, okay? So let's go. Let's go. And let's loosen this up a little bit because you don't care if it's pretty at this point. All right, so here we have to turn from the outside. Here we have to turn from the outside. Here we still have to turn from the outside. And it's fixing to change. Now look here. If I turn it out here now, it's going to make a big open mouth. And it's not going to cover the curve going this way. So I have to turn from the inside. The inside. Turn from the inside. Turn from the inside. See? You'll get it. You'll get it, I promise. Because if you don't get it, you're going to have all these gaps. And there we go. See? Isn't that awesome? Now you can turn gradually without having to stop, turn, stop, turn, stop, turn. But when you have a really curvy curve going on, you're going to have to stop, turn, stop, turn, stop, turn. I'm going to show you what do you do when you have points. Points are a whole different animal, and you're going to have to deal with points, especially when you're doing the math. So let me show you what you do when you do a point. Number one, write this down. Y'all got your pen and your paper? Write this down. Never start sewing at the point. Never start sewing at a point. Start on a straight area. A straight or a curve, not on a point. I'm going to go back to my straight stitch, stitch that down. All right, here we go. Needle down, feed dogs up. We're going to come to this point right here. Okay? We're just going to sew till we get to that point. All right, there we are at the very, very edge. So I am going to back up, put my needle down, then I'm going to turn. Now, this is so important because it will get you every time. I don't know if I'm on the zig or the zag here at this point. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. It was going too fast. Do you see how it's going to turn to the left? I sure don't want a pink stitch clear out there. So I am going to move that needle here to the very edge of my stitch so I can sew down this way now and cover up the part that I just sewed at that tip. It will look so good you won't even believe it. Do it again. Go all the way to the point. Stop. Turn. Look at my point. Hand. Turn the hand wheel. See which way your needle's going to go. And again, mine's going the wrong way. So I'm moving it over to my last stitch. This is so important. Oops. And it just went the wrong way, y'all. What the heck did I do wrong? I'm too far out from it. Okay, can we make a mistake even when we've done it a million times? Yes. Okay, it's not a mistake. It's just a little far out past the line. And if you're not as... there it's going the wrong way again. This is so important. So important. Let me show you where you want to be. Since I messed up, let's show you. Will you mess up even though you've done it 1,000 times? I promise you, you will. Let me get a seam ripper. All right, you can see right here where my 2 stitches are a little off. So I'm just going to take them out. See there? I would do this in real life on a real quilt, on a real applique, because I'm just so picky. So I'll pull out those 2 stitches. I would do it without taking it out of the machine. What I want to do is put my needle in right at this point. I'm sorry, y'all, but I'm glad I did that because if you make a boo-boo, now you'll know what to do. You don't want the thread where it doesn't go, especially when it's bright pink on white. So you can see, look at this point. That's what you want. Look at that first point that I did. That's what you want. All right, let's do this again. We're going to come back up here to this point, and we're going to put the needle in the way it's supposed to be, right here on the edge. Then we're going to make sure it goes to the left. Do it with the hand wheel. Make sure. Yes, make sure. All right, we got it going the right way now. We're going to come down to this point, all the way to the point. Put the needle down and let it stay there. Turn. We have to make sure that the needle's going to go the right way. And then we're going to, because we have to line up here where we started. You see? Put your straight stitch on, sew a couple straight stitches, and stop. All right, there's my triangle. I'm glad I messed up because you could see how I fixed it. Look at that perfect triangle. Check it out. Check out my triangle. See how the white thread is in the middle of the pink thread? I'm going to go around this little bitty oval right here, which is the same size as the white part in the cat's eyes. This is the same size as the black pupil. This is the same size as the white. I did this one with the feed dogs down and the needle flying. I'm going to do this one with the satin stitch way, with the feed dogs up. You put your needle in it. Yeah. I do my straight stitch. 1, 2. I put my zigzag on, and it's going to be a narrow zigzag because this is a little tiny oval. It's going to be a very narrow zigzag. It's going to be a close together zigzag, and hopefully you can see. Well, let's go. This is turn, 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 turn. Turn. Now remember, you're not going to be sewing with pink thread on white. You're going to be sewing this with white thread on white. So if you get off a little bit, you know, nobody's ever going to know it. Even I wouldn't fix a little tiny boo-boo with white on white. See that? Isn't that just perfect? You got to stop, turn, stop, turn, stop, turn, stop, turn. But that needle down, see, you can just turn all over the place because your needle's down. And you're not going to lose your place. Isn't that awesome? Look at that. Perfect. Do your straight stitch. There you go, my friends. Fun, fun, fun. Fun, fun, fun. And practice, practice, practice. You want to see me do the square? I'll do the square. And then I'll stop. Okay? Straight stitch. Don't ever start on a point. Don't ever start on a point. Don't ever start on a point. Okay, I think we got that down. Alrighty. Make it a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. We're going to go to the point, to the very, very tippy tip of the point. We're going to turn. Now, this is easier than a triangle because your stitch, you're going like this, 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 this. Can you see this pen? This, 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 this. Then you're going to turn and you're going to start right here, but you're still going to be going straight, see? So it will cover very neatly. Better than the triangle, you have to turn, you know, at an angle. So here we go. All the way to the point, all the way to the point, all the way to the point. There we are. Turn it 90 degrees and keep going. All the way to the point. See? Look at that. It's easy. It's easy. It really is. All the way to the point, all the way to the point, all the way to the tippy, tippy tip of the point. Now, if you had this a really loose zigzag, you'd go past that point pretty quick. You have to really slow down. Here we are. We're going to turn and meet up. You see, it would be very, very hard to meet up at the point. That's why you don't. You can move your needle over if you want to with your needle mover button, but I'll tell you what, if I do that, I forget to move it back, and it causes all kinds of problems. There we are with the square. Huh? Are you guys super, super excited? Getting ready to have fun, fun, fun? Oh my gosh. You want to see me do this little tiny one? This is the size of the nose on the kitty. Let's do it, and then I promise I'll stop. I know you guys saw so much scan and cut, you just wanted to throw up. But there's so many things that can happen. There's just so many things that can happen. All right, I'm going to do a very narrow one here. We're going to come all the way to the point. Tippy tip, tip at the point, and stop. Turn. Make sure your needle's going to go back to the left or the right, whichever direction you're going. You want to make sure it's going to cover up what you just sewed all the way to the point, the outside of the point. Now we're going to have to get the needle to go the other way. See, so I'm going to move the needle over to the edge where that stitch stopped, and here we go. You are the boss of the needle and the thread. Outside. And there we go. You'll know. And there's our single stitch. And we're going to come out here. Our straight stitch, I should say, not single stitch. If I said single stitch, I mean straight stitch. Alright, now do you see that was just as easy as the big one? That was just as easy. See? Look at those points. Practice, practice, practice. Practice does make perfect. That's the end of this clip. So I'm just going to start the rest of this video, which I just show you how I do the big part of the kitty cats. All right, let's go. This is Monday, August 22. And I just got back from our trip and I'm getting ready to sew around the first kitty cat. So I wanted to show you the product that I'm using today. I have lots and lots of products, but this is what I'm using today. Notice it's iron on. Well, it irons on, but it comes off pretty easy. So I iron it on and then I pin the four corners. So this is the back. And I'm just going to get a piece big enough to cover the whole thing. Iron it on, then pin the corners, then take it over, and we're going to sew around upside down kitty cat number 2. You can see my Totally Stable is ironed on. Now this iron on is not permanent at all. It's not even semi-permanent. It's not even very strong. So I always put pins. There's pins in the four corners. And notice that they are safety pins. The reason we use safety pins is we don't want to poke the kitty cat or ourselves. Let's go sew this baby down. Right now, he's just held on with Steam-A-Seam. Steam-A-Seam Light. Steam-A-Seam Light. Light Steam-A-Seam. Evidently, the bolt doesn't get a 2. I'm going to use this machine to sew these appliques down. I use isocord thread because I really like isocord thread. I do not like Aurifil thread because it is so curly. I have some of it, but I don't like it. And I don't want any thread I have to mess with. So I'm going to use the proper color on the top. I'm going to use this cream color in the bobbin, which is what I use to make these blocks with. I have the Microtech needle in it. See the Microtech needle with the 2 little colors? A burgundy and some kind of a green stripe. That's my Microtech. I will clean it. I will take this off of it and I will open this up. I cleaned it recently. I always clean before I start a project. But I've been gone a few days and I sewed all those blocks and you can see there's some icky threads in there. So I am going to, everyone's a little bit different, but you got to clean out your bobbin case. So I'm going to get some Q-tips and some oil, and I am going to clean this clean as a whistle before I start. I take the Q-tip and I go up inside there, clean that all out inside. I clean out the bobbin case. I wipe that all down in there with the Q-tip. You can see the fuzz and everything. I don't use air. Sometimes I'll use air, but I will come back here behind the machine and I'll blow out that direction. Don't ever blow into your machine. And some people will just say don't ever blow in it at all, but I don't see any problem with blowing it from back here. In case there's a little bit of thread right under here, you can psh, 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 how do you like those sound effects? And blow it this direction. So I'm going to clean that all out. I've got my green thread for my green cat. And I'll be back. Here's my air, my dust remover. Since I mentioned how I do this, I'll show you what I was talking about. I come back here and I aim it down in those holes and I give it a few puffs. A few puffs. Did you see anything fly out? Since several of you have asked me to show you how I clean my machine, I can't imagine that y'all wouldn't know that, because when you buy a machine they show you that at the shop. I get some Q-tips. Keep lots of Q-tips up here. Just go around. This is a dry Q-tip. See? Look how, hello, where's your Q-tip? Look how dirty it is already. And I've barely even done anything. And remember, I cleaned this before I did that last project. I'm probably going to get my head right in the middle of the camera. Go up in there, around. Now don't do it too hard. You don't want to lose your fuzz ball on your Q-tip in there. I'm going to pull that off and tighten that up. Probably my sister, my little sister, turned 69 yesterday. So I asked her how her birthday was. She's probably telling me. Alrighty. Go around here, go around here. Q-tips are wonderful. Look at how much more. You saw me tear the fuzz off and start over on that end. Look how much more there is. Yep. Do you use just one Q-tip? Good heavens, I may use 4 or 5, depending on how dirty it is. Look at that. Look at that end, how dirty. So I'll just pull this off some more. Pull it off some more. See? Now it's clean. Now I'm going to go inside this thing, the hook. Look at that. Look at the dirt that came out of that hook on the inside. Amazing, huh? So now this Q-tip's about shot. It is about shot. I'll go around in here a few times. Alright? So that's Q-tip number 1. After Q-tip number 1, you've got to use Q-tip number 2. And this is Q-tip number 2. You can find these in my Amazon store under Sewing Essentials. They are little Q-tips. So this is a Q-tip. It's just a really, really fine one. So after I use the first Q-tip, I come back and I use this one. Nothing else is coming out of there. Let's check in here, see if there's anything else. Look at that. That thing is very dirty. You see, it's got fuzz on it and dirt on it. You thought we were all done, didn't you? Now this is, you know, Joy the Perfectionist again. I don't take my machines in for service. Hardly ever. This one just got service. In fact, this is the one I just got back from the service shop. And look at how much fuzz is in it after my first thing. Yeah, just use these. You can stick them down in here and stick them down in there. Come up here. Look here what I got off the needle bar. Hello, where are you? Look here what I got off the needle bar. Yeah. This is fuzz and lint removal. Just go around everything, everywhere, and get it as clean as you can. Oh my goodness, that thing is just filthy. Now I have used 2 of these, and they both are just dirty, dirty, dirty. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to oil it. Here's my oil. Your oil needs to be clear and high quality. I think I got this from Bernina Jeff, but I wouldn't swear to it. It may have been from the sewing machine repair guy. As you can see, the oil that came with my machines originally, it's all dark yellow. So I tossed that stuff. So I just oiled it down in here on the little ledge. On the ledge that this sits on. This sits on a ledge. And so the oil is actually going to touch it right here. But I oiled the ledge that it sits on. Now I'm going to put this back in here. Good luck with that. Remember, I've got a tripod between my legs. Come on, let's perform. Let's perform. You got to get that in or you're out of luck. I can do it better with my right hand, but I'm backwards because of you guys. Ah, I think I got it. Yeah, it should seat. It should sit in there and stay. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unthread my needle, and I am just going to sew this up and down and see what it sounds like. Hey, how about that? How about that? Okay? Alrighty, all I'm going to do is thread it. This is my Virtuosa 155. Let's put the foot back on. Get your right foot. When you're doing applique and a satin stitch, you've got to have an open toe foot. See, it's got to be open. You got to be able to see in there, and the needle's got to go back and forth in there. So get your open toe embroidery foot. Why do they call it open toe? Because there's one exactly like it that has a closed toe. Okay? Okay. Now, when we start to sew, when I start to sew my satin stitch, if this off-white color thread is coming up to the top, if I can see the green, but every so often I can see the white, then I will tighten that bobbin. That little screw on my bobbin case, I will tighten it. And I'll keep tightening it until I only see green on top of this kitty. Okay? Let me get this started and I'll be right back. I've tried to get this super close. So, I hope you can see. Hold on a second, I'm going to go put my embroidery gloves on. I have these little embroidery gloves here. So be sure you get the bubbles right. Get your fingers in right. They're tricky. See the bubbles underneath? That's what you want. You want the bubbles under here so they're on your fabric. These are super cool and comfortable. Yeah. Let's try them. They're more expensive than the regular ones, but you only have to buy them once. There we go. Do you see me now? Alright, let me zoom you in a little more here. I'm trying to get you super close so you can see how I do this stitching. So I'm going to start on this side of his tail. I go clockwise around. You may want to start over here and go that way. That's up to you. So the first thing I do is I lower my stitch way down. Then I take a couple straight stitches. There, a couple straight stitches. And that felt like it just ate the thread because I didn't hold on to it. So start over. Start over. Be sure you hold your thread. Hold your thread back here behind or you'll get a nest. Alright, so I'm going to take a couple stitches and back. Alright, so right there's where I want to start. So the next thing you need to know is how wide do you want your satin stitching. We're going to go over here to zigzag. I'm going to choose zigzag and then I'm going to turn it down to I think about a 2.5. And then I'm just going to test it and I'm going to put, I want my needle down. I'm going to test it and see how far over 2.5 is going to go. If it's going to cover. Nope, it's not. So I'm going to go a little bit more. That looks good. I'm going to zigzag backwards a couple stitches to check and see how wide it's going to be. It looks like it's going to be really good. I think you can see that. I'm really sorry if you can't. I'm trying to make it so you can see it. Take the hand wheel, roll it back and forth. You want the needle to fall just to the side of this fabric. You don't want it over here in the opening. You just want it just to the side. You want it to wrap around the edge of what you're doing. So you're going to start out inside. Check your needle to be sure it's going just to the outside. Once you figure out it's doing it correctly, because you're going to do it real slow, like this, and once you realize you want it a little fatter, I'm putting it on 3 now. And there we go. So once you look at, I'm going to have to turn my light on, and I hope that doesn't make it bad for you guys, because I can't see it. Okay, so we're going to come here, 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 down, around, over, under, and through. Now, I'm going to have to go get some reading glasses on. I can see, but I want to be able to see really, 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 really good, because I'm very close up. My face is right down here on this thing. My face is here. I mean, you can almost see it. See, my face is like right here. It's close. Here's my hands. All right, here we go. If it makes a funny sound, stop the train and start over. It's making a very funny sound, and it's not even sewing. So, what is that about? Who knows? Number one, rethread it. Something's always going to cause an issue. At least it does for me. All right, let's see what's wrong with it. Let's go down there and check the bobbin case. Okay, so I have started over twice now. So don't think, oh, Georgia says everything's so fast and nothing ever goes wrong. No, I'm not on that planet, and I don't know who is. It isn't me. So the first time that it messed up and I fixed it, it was still messed up underneath. So I had to take it apart underneath, get the green thread out from underneath there, and then fix it and put it all back together, okay? So it happens to us all. All right, here we go. Got I don't have my gloves on, do I? Okay, here we go. Yeah. Now, I've already got the names of the books on this block, but it's the only one. As the world turns, you have to turn. So we're going to have to roll this up, roll this up. This is why I put pins on the back, or that paper would just come right off. Fold this up out here. You got to be able to freely turn. Stop on the inside turn. Stop on the inside turn. How do you know inside or outside? You'll know. If you start on the wrong side, it won't cover it. So you'll know, you say, oh look, that didn't cover it. I've got glasses on. I'm not getting over the edge good enough there, so I'm moving out a little. Alright, so now I'm starting on the outside. My curve is going the other direction now, so now I'm stopping on the outside and going in. A minute ago I was in the inside going out. If you were on a straight place, you wouldn't have to do that. You would just sew forever. Don't let anything catch your fabric or your block. And look at where you are. I'm like right on. I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up from 0. So it will be even when I move around this thing. And there's my pin right there. It's not in my way, or I'd move it outside. Outside, outside. What do you mean outside? I mean right now, the needle is down on the outside and I'm turning. Okay? Now the other way. The needle's on the inside. I'm stopping on the inside. And I'm turning. 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 I'll show it to you up close in a minute. Stopping on the outside. Yeah. Now, I have said this before. It is a whole lot easier to sew, quilt, do this, if both your eyes see the same. In my opinion. And right now, one of my eyes sees close up and the other one sees far away. And so what do I do to fix that? I take out the close-up contact and I just use the glasses. That's what I do. Okay, here we are. We're up here at his rear end. I'm going to put it back on straight stitch. I'm going to straight stitch a couple times. I don't have a cutter on this machine, so I have to cut it with real scissors. Can you imagine? I've got a Bernina, so I can lift the foot with my knee. See me lifting it with my knee? Here's my hands. No hands, and my foot's going up and down. That's the best part about a Bernina. Other machines do it now, but they don't do it as good as a Bernina. Here we are. Can you see me now? The bottom. And up here, if I can get it in the camera, right there is where it goes up into his body. So that's how I do it, right there. Most people wouldn't care at all that they missed that one little lonely thread right there. But of course, I'm so picky that, oh, I've lost you again. I'm going to pull out that loose thread. It's right here. Right there. That one lonely little thread. So from the top of the mountain or the back of a running horse, nobody is going to see that ever, 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 ever. And it isn't going to come unsewn. But the idea is to not do that. The idea is to get past it, see? Past it. And lock it all in. This is super, super close up. Now I use a color of thread just a hair shade, teeny bitty, little teeny bit darker. And that one I think is almost just the exact same color. So I'll show you when I get him all done. I've changed the angle now so you can see what I'm doing. I started here at the neck and went all the way down around leg number 1 over here past the tail, leg number 2, now up this side of his body. I've turned the light off so you can see, so let's hope I can see. Now I sew fast. You don't have to. You can go slow. I'll show you how slow you can go. You can go this slow. See? And the slower you go, the better you can see. And if you have just a gentle curve, you can just turn it with your fingers as you sew real fast. When you have a tight curve, you have to stop, turn, stop, turn, stop, turn, stop, turn. Oh, my hand's probably totally... Now see, here's a little bit tighter curve, so I'm going to stop on the inside and turn. I'm going to have to put some more bobbin thread in here. Now I'm going to stop on the inside. How do you know? You just know. Because you don't want to skip a space. Here I come up. There I am. So now I'm at the head. I'm going to put it on my straight stitch. Do a couple straight stitches forward and back. Then I'm going to turn because I have to go clockwise, and I'm just going to come around. But wait, but wait. I just discovered that I'm going to have to do these ears. Do I do them now or do I do them later? What I do is I'll go up to it and stop because his head is under his ears. Okay, so I'll show you what I'm going to do there. Always, when you're fixing to go in new directions, check your zig and figure out if you're on the zig or the zag. And I'm not on either one because I'm on a straight stitch. Come back here, so where we line up. Am I on the zig or the zag? Alright. I am on the zag, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to back up one just to be sure. Yep. Okay, I've got to stop, so I'm coming back to my straight stitch. I'm just going to do a couple to tie that off. Then I'm going to jump over here to this side because the head is under the ears. I'm going to straight stitch again, back up, go back to my zigzag. See if I'm on my zig or my zag. Then I'm going to go around here, around here, around here, up to his other ear. Then, if I'd been smart, I would have started over here because I'm going to have to come back in and fill this in now from here to here. But you can do it. There's a lot of things you're not going to know until you get to it. I don't think I got his inner ear ironed on right there. But you can fix that too. This is Steam Too Light. Watch out for all your cords and stuff back there. Oh. If you feel like you've moved, stop and check it. Now he's got a curve here. Very, very tiny curve in and curve out, and so I had to stop and turn. Stop and turn. When I come up tomorrow, I'll be sure to not have any contacts. And here I'm going over the leg, which was under the head. I'm going over that now. Out. There's this little tiny jog on his cheek again. So I've got to stop and turn. Stop and turn. Sometimes it's in, sometimes it's out. I'm sorry if my hand's totally blocking you, but your hands are your best tools. You really need them. I'm coming up to his ear, where we're going to quit. Got a tight curve here, so tight, tight, turn, turn. All the rest of this you just scrunch up and get it out of your way. Single stitch. All right, up, jump over, come back over here, single stitch. And you got to roll all this up. This is why you pin. This is why you pin that stuff on the back, otherwise it'd be gone. It'd be all chewed up and gone. All right, now we're going to check our zig to see if we're on the zig or the zag. Make sure it zags, zigs and zags right where we want it to. I want that to land right there, especially when you got a little tiny place you're doing. Here I'm coming up to where I started a while ago. All right, now I'm going to put it on single stitch, and I'm going to move my needle over one. And you got to pay attention to this, because if you don't remember to move your needle back, you're going to have a real mess on your hands. Okie doke. So, I've got to do his ears next. Now, his ear's crooked here. I probably didn't have my glasses on good that day. Let me show you this up close. So here we've got Mr. Green Jeans here. Do you see how he's all done except for his ears? Now, he's all on here with Steam Too Light. His ear is crooked here. This part should be right here. This needs to be moved up like a 1/16 of an inch. I know 900,000 of you wouldn't care, but I do. I'm sorry. I just do. Make sure you put a cover cloth. Make sure, because you don't want to touch your vinyl. Now look there. You see how easy his inside of his ear just popped off? How awesome was that? So now I'm going to put it where it belongs. There, that's where it belongs. It's going to move. That's what happened, is it moved when I went to press it down last time. I can see that. So this time I'm going to pin it and make sure it can't go anywhere. Yeah. Make sure his little ear is on there. Okay? So he's all done. I went around his tail first. Then I went around this paw and this paw. Then I went around his whole entire body. And then I went around his head, jumping his ears. I jumped his ears. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do the dark ear first. Just from here to here. So from here to here, I'm going to leave that because it's going to be this color. This one I'm going to sew just from here to here. I'm going to leave this loose. Then I'm going to do the big part of the ear all the way around it, okay? Does that make sense? Now, I have 5 of these guys, and each of them have 2 eyes, so that means I've got 10 pupils to go around, 10 eyes to go around, and noses to go around. I'm going to do that last. I'm going to do the whole thing on all 5. Then I'm going to put my black thread on and do all the blacks. Then I'll put my white on and do all the whites. Just want to show you the 2 ears. I found thread that matches that inside color. Went around like I told you, just did a straight stitch across the bottom to hold it still. Now I'm going to go around the outside of both of those. Here's both ears. Now I ran out of bobbin thread during those ears, so I just ripped out, it had gone about 1/2 inch, I just ripped it out and started over. And then there was areas I could not see because of the green on the green. I just couldn't even see it, so I got a friction pen and actually drew a line around the bottom of the ear so I could see it. So those are the ears. You can see they are on top of his little head. This is the end. This is the end of the end, the real end of this set of tutorials. I think there's 5 parts. From now on, when people say, "Will you show us how you do embroidery?" I can say, "Look at these videos." I'll see you in one of my other videos real soon. Bye for now.